continuing with the idea of no stopping in performance, and of course the show does go on. Many years ago, one of my students was doing her senior recital, and she tangled up at some point, and this is always interesting as a teacher because you work so hard and students prepare so hard, and you practice and practice and perform, and then you get on that stage, and so many things can happen. So she tangled up a bit, and I remember, and it kind of takes your breath away as a teacher. She tried to get out of it, and it wasn't happening. And she actually stopped. And I have so much respect for her because she stopped for, I don't remember how long it was. It probably wasn't very long, but in the moment it feels like, oh, she might have stopped for maybe 10 or 15 seconds. It really wasn't very long, but she stopped, she got her bearings, and then she started wherever she needed to start, and then kept going, and it was beautiful. And wow, that was, I have so much respect for her that she did that, and the audience loved her for it. We all loved her for that. And she got herself out of a little mishap, and again, the show goes on. If you're a professional and you're traveling the world, those things can happen, and then you make the best of it. I had another student who she struggled with memory, and we worked so hard, and we analyzed her pieces and phrase by phrase, and we practiced that and did all of this. And she said to me once that, because I talked about, if you tangle up, keep going, and if you have to, then you skip to the next section and all of that. And she said to me once, and she's one of the few that I've allowed her request. She said, sometimes if I just back up to the beginning of a phrase, then I'm okay. And we talked about that, and we talked about the reason why you wouldn't necessarily want to do that, because sometimes if you have a glitch in performance, and let's say you back up to the beginning of the phrase, so you back up a couple of measures, it's more than likely that you're going to have the same little slip. We can have a slip in a place that we've never had. I remember back to that Chopin scherzo, several years ago, I was performing it here at Utah Tech University, and during the performance there was a place in the second part of the A section, and my finger was playing the wrong note. And if you know that particular scherzo, you have that A section like 3 times before you get to the middle lyrical part, and then you have it 2 more times after. And my finger went to the wrong note. It's very fast, so I kept going, and then there's a repeat, and you did it, and I did the wrong, and I never stopped, but it jarred me. It almost makes you jump out of your chair because it feels so different. So it felt different, it sounded different. It didn't sound bad, it just was not the correct note that Chopin wrote. And I think by the 3rd time I played the A, I think I had figured out what it was, and I played the correct note. I never stopped, but that was an interesting experience. And as Dr. Pollei would say, I'd love to have a tape recorder on your thoughts, because during that performance I was trying to figure out which of the notes was off, and I finally did, and then was able to go on. Again, I never stopped, but that it did take a few times through A before I had figured out. My dear student who begged, please can I back up to the beginning of a phrase, and she didn't need to do that very often. But I finally made a deal with her that if she backed up, if something tangled up and she backed up and the same thing happened, she had to move on. So we made a deal, and I don't usually do that with students, that if you back up because you're tangled up, you can only back up one time. So, and again, I don't normally subscribe to that with students, but in her case, a lot of times it helped her, I don't like the word fix, but it helped her get through that little glitch in performance.